All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the City of Riverside Planning Commission for Monday, October 18th, 2021 to order at 6:30. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Present.
Mr. Owens,
Here.
Mr. Rogers,
Here.
Mr. Vasquez.
Here.
Okay, thank you. The next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from September 20th, 2021. The chair would entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to approve the minutes from September 20th, 2021.
Second.
Point of order,
I
Tony
wasn't
and
here.
David cannot.
I was not here. I just realized that.
I, Jonathan Hairston, make a motion to approve the minutes from September 20th, 2021. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from September 20th, 2021. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please. Or I'm sorry, we don't do that anymore. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to remind the audience and any speakers tonight that when you come to speak for or against one of the cases on our agenda, you will step to the podium. There will be the oath that will pop up on the screen, maybe on the podium as well. And we need you to state your name, your address, and speak clearly into the microphone. If you need to move the microphone, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so we will open the public hearing for case 210020, zoning map amendment 4707 Old Troy Pike, partial ID I3908030012. This is a rezoning from B2 General Business District to I1 Industrial District. And at this time, I will have staff give their report, please.
I, Naya Holt, affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you.
So again, this is PC case 210020 for 4707 Old Troy Pike. A zoning map amendment to rezone the subject site from the current B2 General Business District to the I1 Light Industrial. A little background about this case. It is near the intersection of Old Troy Pike and Needmore. It should also be noted that this site is in the source water protection area and in the city's well field protection overlay. What that means is that this site has been identified as an area which needs to be protected should any harm come to the aquifer that's underground, which is a huge water source for many communities in our area. Moving on, the applicant is requesting to rezone the site to industrial to allow for a semi-truck repair shop. The current development includes a 4,200 square foot structure with 4 service bays and a small administrative office. This is the zoning map. So you can see in blue, the subject site in the B2 zoning. To the north, this is I1, but it's a mostly vacant lot. Right here is R4 residential, and across the street there is B2 as well. Again, in blue is the subject site. And again, you can see that vacant I1 to the north. Here is the site plan for the subject site. A rendering of the proposed structure. The front of the subject site. The property to the south, just adjacent. Property to the north. The property across the street. This is the United Rehabilitation Services. I saw somebody trying to look at that. And this is the apartment complex across the street as well in that residential zoning district. Here is a view looking from the rear of the property towards Old Troy. and the location of the proposed structure. Now we're going to move on to the standards for approval. The first one, that the zoning classification and use of land will not materially endanger the public health or safety. So at this point, we do not have enough information to determine the impact on public health and safety of the proposal. The applicant has submitted a business plan, which states that the semi-trailers will not be transported to the site. So staff will need to review that in a vehicle circulation plan once they move on in this process to ensure that the site has safe ingress and egress. The second standard for approval, whether the proposed zoning classification and use of land is necessary for the general welfare of the community. Based on our current comprehensive plan, we found that the answer is no. Commercial is recommended for that site, and the proposed use is industrial, so it doesn't fit that recommendation. The third standard for approval, that the proposed zoning classification use not harm the value of property in the surrounding area or abutting property. So at this time, we don't have enough information to determine whether this use, semi-truck repair, will have an impact on the property values of the neighbors. However, the proposed zoning is not in compliance with the 2005 comprehensive plan, which, as I stated before, recommends commercial uses. The fourth standard for approval, that the proposed zoning district and land use will be in character and harmony with the neighborhood. We find this to be no. The section of Old Troy is commercial and residential. We did note that there is that vacant industrial lot to the north, but this proposed use will increase that industrial use in the area, and it is near the rehabilitation services, the apartment complex, and subway. So we're getting to the last two standards for approval, whether the proposed use of land and zoning classification is located in respect to transportation facilities and other infrastructure. The answer is yes. It is close to about a couple miles from the Needmore ramp to I-75. There are existing RTA stops, and there's a traffic light that services that intersection. Should this site be developed, it can use the existing utilities on the site. And finally, whether the proposed zoning classification and use of land will cause undue traffic congestion or create a hazard. We don't have enough information at this time. That's why we would request, going further down the line, a vehicle circulation plan. So staff finds that the request to amend the zoning map is not adequately justified and does not meet the standards of review, or excuse me, of approval. Staff recommends denial of the proposed rezoning. These are your required actions, either to approve or deny based on the staff report, any testimony or evidence provided today during the public hearing, and the section in our UDO.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
Any questions for staff?
I have a question. What was the former use of the property?
It was a bar.
Okay.
Years. Second for a long time before we tore it down. Any other questions?
Yes. Does staff know if there are any plans for the industrial parks to the, what is that, north?
Not at this time.
Okay.
So we would have to look at our land use plan, which we're about to start that process. And Gary is going to talk about that more the next time he's here. But we can look at some of our corridors and see what the best course of action is.
Any other questions? All right, is the applicant here tonight? Is there anything you'd like to say tonight, sir?
Good evening.
My name is Cameron Kabibov, and I'm here to answer some questions if you have any regarding those questions. Previous questions that you guys had.
Sir, could I ask you to read the oath up here and state your address, please?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Cameron Kabibov, and I oath to say, to state, affirm that testimony I about to give before Planning Commission, correct to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Did you have any statements you wanted to talk about your business or anything first?
Yes, there was a couple things that been said about whether this business can bring any hazardous concerns. With this business, we're not bringing a truck stop or anything like that. So we'll be having a minimum of 4 trucks at the lot, and even concerns to the actual traffic, it's a little bit off because we're not going to have any trucks with the trailers entering to the lot. So we're talking about not so much of a concern when it comes to the traffic, and also only 4 trucks at the lot we'll be having for the repairs, and maximum of 3 days they will live in the lot. So this is not a big, industrial business. And the next one is, I think I heard about health issues. There's water, right, that goes underneath the lot. I'd like to understand how is this, going to affect that, and that's question number 1. And if it does affect, what are the ways to avoid the effect? And the value of residents that are nearby also. So with this business, we're bringing a small business actually to that community. And our goal is to achieve, that lot is unused right now for a very long time. It was demolished. I think I actually remember when it was demolished even. So what we're trying to do is create very small business. We're trying to hire 10 to 15 employees. And that will be mechanics, accountings, and also transportation for the parts if needed for the truck repair. So with bringing business and paying taxes, I think, our goal is not to decrease the value of residential. So overall, I would just like to understand if there's a risk. Anyhow, we would like to work with you in your best interest to avoid those risks. And what's there that we can do?
I think before we can address that, we have to see what the commissioners do tonight on what
Okay.
next steps would be.
Absolutely. I have nothing else to state. If you have any questions.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? I have.
Go ahead.
I have one. I heard tonight 4 trucks,
Yes.
but there was only 3 bays that I saw in the conceptual drawing, right?
Yeah.
And I was told, I thought it was 2 to
2 to
Is there-
3 trucks. Yes. In lot.
in lot.
Yeah.
there-
In lot, we're gonna only carry 3 trucks at one time.
Okay, so would there be any trucks parked outside on an ongoing basis?
We're planning to maximum, like if we have 4 trucks on the lot, 3 inside the building, we can park just one of them outside, just park. So we can move one
Rotate.
out
So
and
you have
put one
one
in,
ready to
yes.
go in when one comes out?
Yeah. Just one truck for that, reason, that's all.
Okay,
But all trucks, but there's no repairs done outside or anything, just park and all the repairs will be done inside the shop.
Okay, all right. Mr. Hairston?
Josh. You can see it all.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. My apologies. This is city manager, first day making rookie mistakes. Apologize.
I had just asked. I was like.
No, and if I may, just very briefly, the reason for that is Mayor Williams wanted to participate this evening and via Zoom. And unfortunately, the link that I gave him earlier in the day was incorrect. And so I
Didn't
needed
work?
to send him an alternate link to do that. So again, apologies for all that.
I don't have so much as a question as, well, it does end in a question, but it's a statement as well. Staff did some reviews and they didn't have, it seems like, all the information that they needed to make conclusive decisions. I hope and I'm asking, would you be willing to continue to work with our staff to meet those requirements that they're requiring in our bullets? That they currently didn't have enough information to answer. It wasn't a no, it was a not enough information, which lets us know as the commission here that there's more work that needs to be done to answer certain questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will. At this time, we will take pro and con comments on this case. Again, you'll need to step to the podium, state your name, your address, and speak clearly into the microphone for our clerk. So is there anyone that would like to speak for or against this? The oath will be, there you go.
Here?
Yes, that are on the screen, whichever one's easiest for you to
Yes,
read.
my name is Osman Iskandar, and I live in 175 Rita Street in Dayton, Ohio, 45404. Well, actually, never live. And I should read that, right?
Yes,
I state your name. I affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is correct and the best of my knowledge.
thank you, sir.
I'm sorry about my English. I have a
You're
lot,
fine, sir.
but I don't have a time to go school to get learn the English. I always work. Well, I know him for 30 years, and I'm the owner company called Dayton Truck Services, and I buy truck stop. I actually buy the building, 46,000 square feet, and that building was been after business for like 20 years, and I buy building that. I spent almost $1 billion. I built the building. I finished that. Now I have 45 people work there, and I bring business from Cincinnati, from Middletown, and I have 3 big truck repair shops. I have truck parking like for 60 trucks. It's over 1801 Home Avenue. I don't know if you guys know that. And he worked in our shop, and like I said, I know him for 30 years, and I know how responsible he is to his job. Now I'm just trying to help him to open his own business, because we don't have a space, like to like he do like very like good stuff on the trucks, like not just like repairing, not just to like do some kind of like dirty stuff. He gonna do, like example, we have a lot of trucks coming to us and we don't have a space to fix them. And then we can have all the trailers parked on my yard. And then we can take truck to him just to get fixed there quickly, because we don't have a hands and all that stuff. It's hard time to find the mechanics and all that stuff. So I want to just, say that it's gonna be like very nice place because it's empty now. At least city gets some taxes, and some people maybe around there go find a job. And it's gonna look nice, and I'm gonna like say help him to park the like trucks and trailers like when he gets something extra or we get something extra, we're gonna just to work each other. So I wanna just to say that, and I'm sure he will do that, the great job over there, and that you guys will like.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you have questions, I know.
No, this is just your time to
Yeah,
give us your thoughts and feelings. So we normally don't ask questions of the
Okay.
pros and cons, but thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else at this time like to speak for or against this case? Okay, seeing none. Commissioners, anything else from you?
I just want to state that one of my main concerns in regards to this project, I am not against the project at all. I want to let you know that, sir, that I'm not against the project. My concern is that there was not enough information for the determination of health and safety. And I think as staff stated in the beginning, that those areas have some underground things that are very important to our city. So we do want to make sure that the health and safety is protected. So regardless of how this vote goes tonight, if it is not in favor of you, I would like for you, and I think the commission would like for you to continue to work with staff to make sure that health and safety concerns are taken care of and that other concerns in regards to what staff said are all covered, reviewed, and have gone through the proper steps to make sure that everything looks good, and then bring it back to the commission if it does not go your way tonight. All right? Is he allowed to ask a question?
Did you already close the public hearing?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, yes, you can ask a question quickly, please.
So if I work and go and ask the public safety for the health, and I actually work with them by providing information, what I'm trying to do, and them providing more information about underlying water systems, and provide that to you, would that be more helpful?
With staff, and I think staff can
So-
answer that.
There is a source water protection program. I think I sent the link to the applicant, and they have source resources and guides to help new businesses located in the source water protection areas.
Okay, thank you.
I think.
All right. So I have a couple comments. I'm concerned about changing zoning in that area because of our new plan that's in the works. Because the majority of the property, it looks like, is B2. That small area is I, but it's undeveloped at this time. But again, I'll reiterate, I'm very concerned about the water protection area. I know that when we approved some other cases way back in that area, we had to have some really large studies done to make sure that no runoff of any chemicals, no, and then with this here, we're dealing with big trucks, semi cabs and that is going to have gas and oils and things like that. So that study is going to be extremely important for us to make a good decision for the entire community and for our surrounding communities, because that water affects our neighbors and surrounding communities as well. I live in that area and I know how busy that intersection is. So I'm very concerned, even without the trailers on the trucks. I'm very concerned about the semis going through that intersection and being so close to that intersection that that could really create a bottleneck and maybe a dangerous situation. I don't know that for sure. It's just my personal look from living there. So that's the reason the traffic study would be vital in this, I believe. And, so those are my three big concerns is just the water, the fact that, really in our community, our comprehensive plan has called for more B2 usage. And the fact that the traffic study is not done to whether or not that's going to be, in the best interest for that area. So with that, anyone else have any comments or questions? I'll close the public meeting. I lost my clock on the computer. 6:55. And commissioners, would anyone at this time care to?
I would like to make a motion for case 21-00. I would like to make a motion to approve case 210-0020 for the zoning map amendment of 4707 Old Troy Pike, parcel ID I-3908030012, rezoning from B2 to I1.
Dies for lack of a second. Is there another motion on the floor at this time? I'd like to make a motion concerning PC case 21-0020, 4707 Old Troy Pike, partial ID I-3908030012. It's a proposal for a rezoning from B2 General Business District to I1 Industrial District. I'd like to make a motion to deny this application at this time.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to deny PC case 21-0020. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Motion carries. Sir, what you would need to do at this time is you will need to work with staff because there was a lot of unanswered questions. You're always welcome to bring something back to us for review again. But at this point, I would direct you to work with Ms. Holt on what the steps would be. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to our next public hearing. We'll open the public hearing for case 21-0025, conditional use of 4901 Linden Avenue, partial ID I-394015060005, a conditional use application to allow the operation of a pet boarding facility. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to the staff.
Thank you. This is case PC 21-0025 on 4901 Linden Avenue. A request for a conditional use to allow an operation of a pet boarding facility. To give you a little background on this case, it is on Linden Avenue between that street and Route 35. It should be noted that this is outside the source water protection area. It contains a large building, which was once a bowling alley. I'm sure you're familiar with the site. The current development includes retrofitting that building and including doggy daycare, training for pets and their owners, and of course, the pet boarding. The applicant submitted a similar proposal last year, which was approved with conditions. Unfortunately, they did not meet all those conditions before the 12-month timeframe expired, but they did come back after receiving notice from staff to get that application back before you. Here is the zoning map. As you can see, the subject site is in blue, and this is in the B2 General Business District. Across the street is R2 medium density residential. Here's an aerial map. Again, the site is in the B2 General District, and it's outlined in blue. Here is their site plan. Here's a front of the subject site. You can see the parking area. Just wanted to give you an image of the parking and the signage that's there. The adjacent property to the west of the subject site. Residential property across the street. And another image of some of the residential property near the subject site. So there are 9 standards for approval for conditional uses, and we're going to go through each of them. The first one is whether the conditional use is permitted in the district, and that is yes. I bring up the residential districts because for this use, it has to be at least 50 feet away from residential uses to be permitted, and this one is. It's in the right zoning district and is at least 80 feet away from the R2 district. The second conditional use is whether it's in accordance with our UDO, both the specific and general objectives of our Unified Development Ordinance or UDO. And this proposal is one of the goals in our current comprehensive plan is to encourage commercial, office, and industrial development in order to promote a diverse tax base. And that meets this goal. The third standard for approval is whether the proposal is in character with the surrounding area. Yes, the applicant has remodeled an existing structure and all the changes have, or the majority, I should say, have been inside the building. There is an outdoor play area, but it will be fenced in and screened. And that goes into our fourth one, whether it will be disturbing to the neighboring uses, and that's no, because the outdoor area will be screened. The fifth standard for approval deals with whether it will be served by the existing infrastructure, and that's yes. It has all the utilities that it needs at the site and will be serviced adequately by those. The sixth standard for approval is whether it will create excessive requirements at public cost with this new use. It will not, nor will it harm the economic welfare of the community. The seventh standard for approval is whether the use involves materials that will be harmful to the surrounding community. And that's no, it's located in the B2 district corridor and is consistent with the commercial uses that are on that side of Linden. The second to last conditional, or excuse me, second to last standard for approval is whether the conditional use will have vehicular approaches to the property and will they be designed not to interfere with the traffic or the surrounding area. And yes, this proposal will use the existing entrances and will not be altered so they won't interfere with the public streets. And the final standard for approval, whether the conditional use will result in destruction or loss of any natural or scenic historic feature. We did not identify any such features on the site or near it, which will be impacted by this, the boarding business, the spent boarding business. So staff finds that the requested conditional use application is adequately justified. It meets the standards for approval. We recommend approval with the conditions. They're listed below. Any changes to this plan will need to be approved by Planning Commission, that they buffer all outdoor runs and exercise areas from the public right of way and obtain all the required building and zoning permits. Oh, and finally, a temporary use permit will be needed for any outdoor events. Here are your required actions to approve or deny. If you approve with conditions, do you have any questions for me?
Questions for staff? All right.
I remember it last time.
Which
Yeah,
one? This
me
one?
too. Most of us were here for the first go around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mr. Harrison, though?
so the temporary use permit must be obtained for all outdoor events. And that would be events outside of, they typically would do dogs outside.
So the applicant can definitely talk more about that, but in their application, they talked about hosting events outdoors that, advocate for sports among animals and dogs. But he can go into more detail what those look like.
Oh, yeah, and I'm probably gonna have to abstain from voting because I just enrolled myself.
Yeah.
Good call.
All right, any other questions for staff? All right, we'll move on to applicant. If you'd like to say anything. Welcome back.
Yes. So the oath first. Hi, my name is Matthew Bond. Does it matter business address or home address? Which do you need?
I don't think business is
Yeah,
fine.
Okay,
he's a business.
4901 Linden Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45432. I affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. So yeah, unfortunately, I am here in front of you guys again. I misunderstood some things and did not realize there were some other additional forms to fill out, but with Ms. Holt's guidance, we have gotten that straightened out. And hopefully that is now all in place. To speak upon the outdoor events thing, I actually just returned from Iowa at the Dock Diving World Championships, and that's kind of one of the events we want to bring to this area, which will bring a lot of outside competition, competitors, visitors to Riverside. And it will be like 3-day events, usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll bring in a dock and pool. The dogs will jump. We'll have a good time and expose people in the Dayton area to the dock diving events. We used to help out with the Midwest Outdoor Expo and do the event there. But we're looking to host those specifically at our new facility. Again, we will always be cautious and courteous of all those neighbors around us. But it will be a nice way to bring people into the city of Riverside.
Any other questions for our applicant? Do you have anything else you'd like to add, sir?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment for or against this case at this time? Seeing none, we will, I think I did this wrong last time. We'll close the public hearing. And we'll move on to comments or questions from commissioners, our discussion. Is there any at this time? Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve case 21-0025, conditional use at 4901 Linden Avenue, parcel ID I394015060005. The conditional use application to allow the operation of a pet boarding facility with the conditions stated by city staff.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve case 21-0025 for a conditional use with the conditions stated in the staff report. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Yes.
Mr. Hairston.
Abstain.
That's right. Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mrs. Denning.
Yes, motion carries. The Planning Commission has approved your packet and you'll work with Ms. Holt on next steps. Okay, thank you very much. And thanks for choosing Riverside. Okay, moving on to old business. We have our bylaws, and Tony, we waited until this meeting so you'd be here.
Yeah, the only thing with these is I kind of would have liked to have seen it, to have a track changes from the original draft to the
Yeah.
current, because
We had a lot of little changes.
there
I
were
got the
a
same
lot
thing.
of discussion points. I know I was the initiator of a number of those, that it would just be easier for me to compare. Otherwise, I'm going to need really to have my notes in front of me to go back and all the handwritten changes that I made on the original draft copy. I don't have that with me here tonight, so.
Maya, would it be possible to go back to the original copy and then go and have you put the changes? Normally, like the organizations I've been with, the bylaws, when you go to make a change, you have the original set or like the copy you originally presented to us. And then any changes or additions, the old is struck out with a line in red, and then the new is put in red, so that it's obvious when we're going back to look at them where the changes were made. It makes it easier looking at it so that we see that those are the areas that were changed and things that we were changing from the original document.
Yeah.
Is that-
provide a
is
track
that-
changes version.
Can you
You
do
can just
that?
use that tracking feature in Word that will do that if you make the changes from the
Okay.
original document.
I have.
It would just be easier for me to focus on the changes being made from the original draft than to re-review the whole document again in its entirety, try to recall all the changes.
No,
that
I was
had been
trying to go
discussed.
through and try to go back and forth because I was trying to make notes that you were saying and my notes, and I was having a hard time trying to make sure that everything was in there the way we discussed it. So is that okay to have you do that? And we'll vote at the next meeting?
And now Jeff has another copy.
So, okay, all right, awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Text amendment, blah, blah, blah. Text amendment priorities research assignment for commissioners. I provided you, city manager, oh, you got one. This is the spreadsheet that has been started. And I think PC bylaws, we're almost done with that one, so we already get to next meeting, hopefully mark one off our list. But we need to start assigning some of these things that we want to research and find other cities, go through our UDO for text amendments and then find other cities and see how they're doing things. And what we're trying to do, city manager, is the commissioners are trying to take some of that off of the staff. It's the first time went this way, but as commissioners, we are dedicated to redoing our UDO. So what we've done is we've put some priority things together that we think that we're getting a lot of cases asking for conditional, use or design standards to get through, where chain link fence for one, and things like that.
Everybody's favorite.
We've had so many cases on that. But we want to start reviewing these. The other thing we've also talked about, just to bring the city manager kind of up to speed, is when we do institute like a new change, or for instance, prior to COVID, we instituted a new food truck to our UDO and allowing it. But then what we had wanted to do was, at the end of about 12 months, we wanted to review these changes to make sure that our thoughts at the time were realistic enough and were working well, so that if we needed to do some tweaking, we could do that in 12 months. So that's sort of our goal here when we put these things into place, if that makes sense. But basically, we just want to be constantly reviewing our UDO and what we have out there, so that we make sure that we're providing the best possible service to our community and our businesses and others that want to come in and be part of our family here, and open businesses here. So that's kind of what we're doing. So Commissioners, if you're looking down through this, is there something that sticks out that you would like to take on doing the research for?
Parking standards,
Parking standards. All right, Mr. Harris.
you know, sometimes you just jump in there and get yours out the way.
There you go.
Madam Commissioner,
Yes, sir.
I was in the military for a few years and we were always told not to volunteer.
But you're gonna
But
volunteer anyway.
I'm gonna volunteer anyway. And I'll jump on two of them. I'll sign up for the street light standards and landscaping requirements.
Don't see the chickens in.
We can put it on.
I'm kidding. I
I'll
don't
say,
really
as you're
have a
thinking about
huge-
this, we will definitely share your research with our consultants for the land use plan, so they can see where we're thinking about and where we're going with the code.
I don't have a huge preference, but I could do fences and short-term rentals.
Ooh, you took on fences. You're a brave soul.
Short term.
Right below
there
operator
we go.
design standards.
Okay,
I'll take on sign standards.
we can work together because I already started some research
It's
on
like
that one.
contentious. I know.
I've already started some research on that one if you
Good.
want to work together on that
Sure.
one. Okay. All right, and what was the other one? I'm sorry, design standards?
No, I haven't decided on the other one.
Okay,
One more story. Guys are brave, so-
all right. Um, I'll go ahead and take on outdoor storage. And if we don't get them all assigned tonight, that's okay too, because it's a lot working, it's a working, moving, fluid document, so. So let's do that. We have one or two assigned to everyone. We're gonna work on one together and that, so I think that's a pretty good start. Because if we would all come back around the same time with all the information, that'll put a lot on staff.
Yeah, and
So
the
are we-
holidays are coming up, you know?
Yeah,
Is there certain information that, is there a way we want to present it to staff? Like a format, or you just want me to say, hey, I went over to Kettering, grabbed their UDOs, this section of design looks amazing. And in this area of Kettering, everybody looks uniform, and I think that's how Riverside.
I think
Or is there,
what we've sort of done in the past is we've taken our UDO and we've kind of looked at other cities, and then we come back and we kind of talk about them and we decide like what areas is our biggest concern in that UDO, with staff. Cause I mean, Ms. Holt is working, daily with this UDO and her concerns and that of what's difficult for her. What could make things easier for our residents or businesses and things of that nature.
so really just bring a few samples to the table to
Mhm.
discuss.
And then we'll start
Draft
discussing
something
and
out.
then we'll start editing in our UDO and that. I really think that's the best way to go because we need to discuss it as a commission of what we think, because we all are from different parts of the community. So that's a nice representation, I think, for our community. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So I'll put today's date down. And then maybe at the next meeting, we'll put, based on what kind of, that's a month, to see what kind of research we can get done. And then we'll start, slowly putting dates out there for things, but maybe we can see how far we get in a month and then decide out how we're going to space out the dates and when we want to have, first draft, second draft, that sort of thing. And if we can just if you can, as you get your research, if you're going to have a lot of research, send Ms. Holt an email, and if you don't mind copying me, so I can just be prepared for what we're going to be discussing. And if anything needs to be copied or anything like that, get it to Ms. Holt. Unless you have a way of copying it so that we all have it, but so we can have it, ahead of time to start looking at if we're going to start actually, red penning our UDO from it. Makes sense, Ms. Holt?
Yes,
Okay,
for the record, yes.
sound good, guys?
Mhm.
I'm sorry,
Oh, no, I'm just laughing at what she said.
what did you say?
I said
No,
for
she
the
just
record.
leaned in it for the record.
Yes.
Oh. Thank you, Ms. Holt. Okay, all righty. So is there any new business at this time?
I've mentioned it several times throughout this meeting. So we're looking to start our land use plan. Don't have an official kickoff date, but once I do, or Gary does, we will get that information to you. But that will be taking up a lot of staff's time once it does get off the ground. So that is the new business, and I guess covers zoning administrator topics as well. Oh, one more thing. Council did approve an amended fee schedule, so that will take effect November 8th.
Can we get a copy of that?
Yep, I will send it to you.
Thank you.
It should
'cause I get-
possibly be posted on the website at
think
some point when it
Yeah.
becomes fully active.
I provided. I will just send it.
Sometimes it's easier to scan your email than it is
Sometimes
the
it is, but
website.
should someone not be here?
November 8th, 2021.
2021, yes.
Okay. And I would say that, with holidays and that coming up, our research and that's gonna kind of be, that's gonna pretty much be research and just maybe starting one or two. So we'd probably be looking at having text amendments. Unfortunately, first of the year, just with trying to spread it out and not making it too cumbersome, I would imagine, because it'll take a while for us to go through and edit and talk about and, well, we don't know, maybe we should research that piece more or, something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it takes 6 to 8 months to do the good research and make sure it fits our community. So if it takes that long,
Well, a couple of these need to happen before spring happens so that as people start home projects, we have the best plan in place to help you with your job too.
if possible, and I'd rather have like the good text, the good legislation on the
But
books
I
instead of
think there's a
fresh.
couple of them though that need to kind of be before that 6 or 8 month period. In the best interest for our residents though, too. I mean, it's about our residents too. So we've got a good commission here. We can make some things happen. So, all right, matters by commissioners, Mr. Hairston, Mr. Owens.
I'll just state, early voting is going on now. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. This week and next week, it's open 8 to 7. So 8 to 5 this week, 8 to 7 PM next week. And then the following weekend, Saturday hours and Sunday hours as well.
There's something about just going to the polling place though. It's like it's an American tradition,
I know, but yeah, I'd rather have everybody come and vote
Early.
early so that they're not at my polling locations, knocking over equipment, breaking things, causing ruckuses.
What are you projecting as the voter turnout rate for this election?
I'm gonna guess right around 11% countywide. At the most,
Wow,
I'm gonna guess.
wow.
The numbers have always been going down. Some districts may be more, where there's a contested races, but others will be few.
It's not much contested in Riverside.
Too much.
But still vote.
Huber's got a levy.
It's a nice levy on the ballot.
Levy.
Yeah, nice
We
levy
need-
on
we
the
need
ballot.
levy. We need that levy for our police and fire. Okay, Mr. Valquez,
Nothing.
Mr. Rogers.
ma'am.
All right. All right, Mr. Owens, Planning Commission next month is the 15th. Will you be overvoting in that or will you? I'm just trying to make sure we can gauge if we have a
Let
quorum
me see what we got here.
as early as possible. I know that's a bad month for you, so.
Actually, let's see here. November, what date did you say?
The 15th is our Planning Commission meeting.
That should be good. Works after the 10-day period. So it
Okay.
should be done by balance.
Okay. Will anyone else have an issue on the 15th of November? Tony,
No.
you're
I'll be
my
here.
next one in line.
I'll be here.
Mr. Harrison, you're my third in line.
I should be good, but if anything comes up, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll
Mr.
be here.
Vasquez,
I'll be here.
okay.
I'll be
All right, good. So we should be good for the November meeting. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn at, I don't have like 7:25.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting of the Planning Commission of the City of Riverside for Monday, October 18th, 2021 at 7:25. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner.